Hello everyone, welcome back everyone to this live demo session on SAP UI5 and Fiori training with me Anubhav. In this live demo session, we are going to look at the introduction to SAP UI5. We will understand the developer persona, who is this training for, and we'll take you through the live system demo in the Business Application Studio. This training is designed for an absolute beginner who willing to become a SAP UI5 and Fiori consultant and start earning more and getting more opportunities on their jobs. My name is Anubhav. I have total 20 years of experience in the field of SAP with over 10 plus years of experience on building SAP UI5 and Fiori applications in the company. I have worked over 200 plus Fiori applications of all different kinds in different products and solutions of SAP S4HANA and SAP Business One and SAP by Design and other SAP products. I have helped companies to design and develop architecture for their Fiori applications, activating standard Fiori applications, and making these applications run in their enterprise infrastructure. So let's understand the agenda for this demo today. The first phase, we will understand who is this training for. So you can map yourself to this training and understand how is this going to help you. We will understand the overview of the course. What can you expect in the next 40 hours of this journey? Then we will have our live demo use case in the live system. Followed by that, I will have live Q&A. I would request all of you to kindly stay on mute for next 30 minutes and allow me to present the demo today for you. And then I will open up your lines so that you can also ask live question and answers throughout this demo series. All right, so let's understand who's this training for. If you're working like Max, who is a UX designer and would like to start developing UI5 and Fiori applications for your company rather than just building the mockups, this training is going to help you. If you are like Rima, who is a fresher out of college, have zero experience and no experience, yet aspire to become a full stack SAP developer, this is the first step towards learning and getting into the field of SAP. If you're working like an application developer, like Kelly, who is working as an ABAP consultant, as a BPC or CRM, or a SDMM, PP, FICO, or any SAP consultant, and willing to build amazing Fiori applications on ECC or S4HANA, this training is also going to help you. Or if you're working like a technical advocate, for example, Peter here, and you would want to venture into the industry of building UI applications in the field of SAP with UI5. Right now, you have experience on any other UI technologies, yet you want to become an SAP developer in the field of SAP field, then this training is also going to help you. What can you expect in the next 40 hours of this journey? In the next 40 hours of this journey, we will complete it in 4 different phases. In the first phase, we'll begin with the fundamentals. I will take you through the journey of beginning a web developer, how to start with HTML5, CSS, JS, and jQuery. Also set up your development tools, which includes Bash tool, Business Application Studio tool from scratch, and VS Code tool, along with SAP UI5 tooling, which is the fundamental for us to start building Fiori apps. In the second phase of this course, we will start with UI5 core concepts, including MVC architecture, SAP Software Development Kit for UI5, and how to get started with a brand new Fiori applications for your company. In the third phase, I will take you through the advanced concepts of building Fiori applications, which includes SAP Mobile Library and build end-to-end Fiori applications from scratch, which are of type freestyle Fiori applications. Of course, data is a very important part of any app. Where does the data come from? It comes from our ERP system like ECC or S4HANA. How do you expose your data to web-based applications or mobile applications? Via OData. OData is an open data protocol which allows us to create web services which can then be consumed in mobile applications like Fiori. So you will learn how to build OData services for your company system in S4HANA and then building the apps end to end. We will learn about end to end business process of building Fiori applications and taking this application ultimately to production system for your end users. This training is designed for an absolute beginner or an ABAP developer who have never ever worked on UI5 yet aspire to transform their journey or transform their career to a Fiori developer fully, getting away from dialogue programming and WebDynPro programming and venturing into the new areas of Fiori app development. That is the goal of this training. So, what do you see in today's demo? In our today's demo, first I will start with our development tool, which is called as BAS tool, Business Application Studio tool. I will then create our first project in the BAS tool, and then followed by that, I will quickly give you an overview of MVC architecture or so-called model view controller. Finally, we will test and run our application in our local environment and then do the testing of our app in the browser as well. So this will be a simple flow. We will take a very simple example like a hello world kind of an application, build it and test it in our development environment. Before we begin, let's try and understand what is SAP UI5 and why picture and what was the need of bringing the SAP UI5 from the SAP side. So let's understand what is SAP UI5. So SAP UI5 is a framework to build responsive web applications. It is the successor technology of Dynpros and Web Dynpros. If you are already working on SAP technology, you must be building as a ABAP applications where you're using Dynpro programming including PBO and PAIs, or you're using Web Dynpros. So SAP UI5 is a successor technology. It's a future technology beyond the Dynpros and Web Dynpros, which is nowadays being used heavily in the companies. Almost every company, every application these days demand for building Fiori applications and UI5 applications. They are getting away from the classical Dynpro and Web Dynpro applications. And that's why there is a huge vacuum in the market for and demand for them in the market for UI5 developers which are drawing very good salary. If you're bored of your 9 to 5 regular job with ABAP, then this is the way forward for you to give a age to your career. Now, in this sentence, I have mentioned two important words, framework and responsive. Let's try to understand what is a framework. So a framework is nothing but it's a collection of libraries. What is a library? Library is nothing but it's a collection of classes. And what is a class? Class is nothing but it's a collection of attributes, events, and methods. So all in all, if you look at SAP UI5, it's a collection of lots of libraries. Example of such libraries are like SAP Mobile Library, SAP.m, SAP.ui.comp library, SAP.ui or SAP Visualization Library. So these are the different libraries which are part of SAP UI5 framework. And then under that you have different classes, and finally these classes will allow you to build your applications. We are living in 21st century. The time is gone when you used to write every small and every bit of pieces of your application manually. These days we rely on powerful frameworks and libraries to reuse them and build our application on top of it. That is the new way or the new era of development. Now, what is responsive meaning? Responsive means it's an application which adapt itself according to the device. That is what responsive web application is all about. Yeah. So it adapts itself according to the device. Now we have so-called controller. So what is the architecture we do use to build Fiori applications, to build UI5 applications? So we use something called MVC architecture. MVC stands for model, view, and controller. So every time you want to build a professional application, not a college application, you should always look at the architecture to be followed. So in SAP UI5, we follow MVC architecture. MVC is a very commonly used architecture across industry. If some of you worked on WebDin Pro, there also we use MVC architecture. In spite of, apart from that, we also have Android, Angular, React, iOS development. Everywhere, almost every company, they all use this MVC architecture. It's very easy to understand a brief of MVC architecture. It includes model, which is nothing but the data of your application. It includes view, which is nothing but the input output or the user interface for the user, which user will interact with. And we have the controller, which is the processing logic, where we write all the processing and the business logic. So it stands for model, view, and controller. MVC architecture. Model, view, and controller. So our user will only interact with the view. That is the screen. That is the UI. Whenever user interact with the UI, they will perform some activity, and this activity will lead to triggering an event. Yeah, triggering an event. So whenever you do that, it triggers a event. So that is what MVC architecture is capable of. So first of all, whenever user talk to our application, it triggers an event. Let's say user click a button, triggers an event. When an event is triggered, it eventually calls a event handler function. This is a function which is written inside a controller class. Controller is a class. Now, if there is a need to change the data, the controller will notify the model to change the data. So controller will inform that it has to change the data. So it has to update the data. And based on that update, the data will be changed in the model. If you do not have a data at the starting point of your application, the model will be not required. Model will only be required whenever you truly have some data in your application. Then the model gets updated and it notifies back to controller, and finally the controller will notify the information back to the UI. So ultimately the UI will then show this updated data to the user. So this is how we have a very modular architecture to build our application. We build our application with very much a module based architecture. We break down all the code in small modules, and then we develop. The advantage here is that we can plug and play these modules quite easily to extend our application in the future. Now, the most important question: how do you develop these applications using this architecture? How do you build your first UI5 application? So to do that, to do the honor, we begin always with building a Fiori application from a tool. And this tool is called as Business Application Studio tool. It's a demo session today. I am not going to show how did I reach to this demo, how did I reach to this tool, but in my next class tomorrow, I will show you how can you get access to this Business Application Studio tool free of cost. Yes, this tool is free for everyone in the trial mode. So I will guide you through the complete process of how do you set up this tool in your laptop, in your personal or in your office laptop, so you can practice along with my training, everything with the hands-on. So this tool I have already set up for you today as it was a demo, but in next class tomorrow I'll show you how did I set up this tool. Now we begin a new project. So I click on create a project from template, and this will open a nice little wizard. So you see over the time the tooling is becoming also very powerful. So I would like to build my first Fiori application using UI5 technology. So somebody might be wondering what is a Fiori and what is a UI5. So UI5 is the framework and Fiori is the application which gets created using this framework. So we are learning the framework as we are engineers. So engineers learn the framework. So now we use the UI5 framework to build my first Fiori app. So let's click on next. We will provide an application name. So we'll choose a basic freestyle application and we will provide the name. But before that, we have to choose the data source. So right now I don't have any data source because I don't want to connect it to any system. But in unit number 19, I will show you how do you connect an application to a real SAP system and load your material or sales order or purchase order data that you will be able to learn also in this training. Now I will give the view name. As I mentioned clearly in the PPT, we will have a view. So let's give the view name as main. We'll give the project attributes. So I will just choose here the attribute of the project. I say demo UI5. That's the name of my project. And we can give the title anubhavtrainings.com. And now we can finish. So you see how easy was that to create a skeleton of a project. Now, in the past, what we used to do, we used to write every small bits and pieces of an application by ourselves. But nowadays, we are leveraging the power of this latest upgraded tool in a low code, no code environment where you can utilize this tooling so that most of the code will be generated automatically. And once the project is generated, the system is asking me to open the folder where the project was created. And here we go, the basic project, basic skeleton got created for us automatically. Fabulous. So what is important in this, I will actually explain you each and every file in detail as and when I will run through this training. In this training journey, you will learn about each and every file which got generated here. You can see a lot of files got created. The most important file is this one. This is called a starting file. Just like you start a book, when you start a book, you start with the index page. Similarly, when you start a Fiori application or UI5 application, you always start with the index file. That's a starting file. In this file, you can see this block of code is actually loading our UI5 framework. You can see this is the block, this is the line which is actually referring to the UI5 framework that we would like to use UI5 framework in our application. It is also telling the system, the browser, that which are the theme we are going to use and what will be the path or the folder name where my project files are present. So this is the basic information and this piece of code is called bootstrapping. Now don't worry about this code. If you are overwhelmed by these lines, I will be showing in my next class how do I write these lines manually and make you understand every bits and pieces, every single line of code step by step. I promise that I will not do a copy paste of code like other trainer does. Other trainers, they copy paste the code and they show the output and then that's how they say training is done. We'll not do like that. We will be doing all these things live in the system at front of you. Having said that, now I will just go ahead to the view and this is my UI. This is my screen what users see. So let's build our view. So I open the view with the layout editor. A layout editor is a very flexible editor which allows developers to quickly model the UI without writing too much of code. Yeah, and all the code will get generated automatically behind the scene. So it's a low code environment where you can quickly generate your user interface and the elements of your user interface. So now it's coming up. You can see it's booting up the view and I'll just want to add a button control. So my user can click the button. I can quickly change click me as the title. And I would also want to add an image control. So let me add an image, drag and drop. Wow, that's nice. So you can quickly drag and drop your controls quite easily on your screen. You can reposition them wherever you want. So this is a beautiful way of designing your application in a low code environment. Now I can click on the image and just choose an ID for this element. Let me put the ID as Anubhav. So with which this will be detected throughout my application. So if I ever want to interact with this image, I will be utilizing this image ID, which I have given as my name Anubhav. At the same time, I would like to change the image. So let me get an image for Donald Duck because that's my favorite cartoon character. And yes, there you go. So maybe I'll pick up one image of Donald Duck from here. I just copy the image address and I just come back and add that image over here. Wow, nice. Look at that. So we've got the Donald Duck image. And at the time of start of my application, I don't want to show this image to the user. So what I do, I just go and make the visible property to false. So that way what will happen? The image will not be visible at the beginning, at the start of the application to the user. Yes, the control is still there. You can see the image control, but the visibility is false now. Fabulous. It's the time that we write the logic now. Whenever user click the button, I want to show the image to the user. So what do? I need to write now my code in the controller class. So you see currently the layout editor is enabled to detect our controller, but never mind, we can go back and look at our controller over here. So in the controller folder here, we have the controller where we can write all the logic. So as I explained already in the PPT, that we have a view, we have the user interacting with our view, where we have added our button and our image. Now whenever user click the button, this will trigger a event, yeah, the click event, and then this event will lead to triggering a event handler function. So let's go back and check it out if I have a event attached to the button or not. So this is our button control, yeah, and inside the button control I will be adding a event. Okay, I forgot to save my view, so just give me a second. I just save my view. Yeah, so I have got a button, and whenever user click the button, what I will do, I will just trigger an event handler. So I say press, this is the event name. I will explain in unit number 12 about SDK, where you will understand where did I got to know the button event name. Yeah, these event names are fixed, so they come from SDK, and that I will cover in unit number 13 in our training. So I will just say on click, that's my event handler name. So whenever somebody click the button, please trigger this event handler. But where is this event handler? We didn't create it yet. So we create it inside the controller. So we come back to the controller, and here in the controller, I will add the event handler on click. And whenever somebody click, what to do? So that logic we can write now inside over here. So what we will do here, we will just first step, get the object of the image from the screen. So on the screen, we have the image object. We will just get that first. And then after we get the image object in step number 2, I will just show the image to the user. Yeah. So make it visible dynamically. So first step, we get the image object. And for this, we will go to the view. So please get me the view, get view. So this is called an API. Now I will explain about all our APIs in unit 14 and 15 in our training. So you will get very comfortable with all the available APIs in SAP UI5. Yeah. So for now, you can understand that we are getting the view object, and from the view object inside our view, we have the image control, and the ID which we gave for our image was Anubhav. You can see this was the ID I've given. So I copy that and I put it over here. So this will get me the image object. And now we can just make our image visible to the user. Set visible, true. So dynamically we are making our image visible to the user now. Fabulous, fabulous. So that is it for our simple hello world kind of an application. And now I can just get started with the app. So for that I press F1, open application info, and this will now open an application info for me to get started with our application test. So let's test our application now. I click on preview, start, and that will start my application in this local system. Now the applications are executed via UI5 tooling. UI5 tooling is also part of your training. In unit number 11, I will discuss that in this course. So now you can see it is just booting up our app over here, and I click, and there you go. You can see my Donald Duck. Let me show you once again. I refresh. Wow. And it's loading up our application, and let me show the mobile app. This is how the mobile look and feel look like, and there you go. Yes, so this is how we can build our first application. Yeah, cool. So this was our very first application, our UI5 application, like a hello world application, by using model view controller architecture. And you saw how easy was that to get started with your first mobile application using SAP UI5. So of course, there are a lot of code which was auto generated here, which we did not understand. We didn't try to understand in the interest of time. I was not able to show you everything, but as and when we go in the training, we will use a no copy paste approach. And I will write every single line of code so that you can understand every critical part of this application in this journey. Having said that, let me move on to some of the FAQs asked by all of you in the past when you sent an inquiry to us regarding this training. Many of your questions were already noted down, and today we will just quickly discuss these questions over here. So Anubhav, what's the duration of this course and what are the prerequisites? So the duration of this course is 40 hours. Yeah, daily 1 hour per day, Monday to Friday. It's a weekday batch. So we will complete in almost 2 months. And there is no prerequisite other than basic programming skills. If you have basic programming skills, that's more than enough to get started with this journey. The timing doesn't suit me. Can I go with video mode training? So answer is yes. You can opt for video mode training for our most recent batch, and you can ask the questions. If you're going through video mode, then you can ask the questions over the email. So that is another option for you. If you want to fast track your learning also, if you don't want to wait for live classes to get over, you can also start with video mode of training directly, and we will provide you the latest, most recently completed batch. Yes. Then what is the tool do we need to learn, and what is the tool do we need to learn this course? So we need the bash tool and the VS Code tool both, and I will show you in my next class tomorrow what's the difference between bash tool and VS Code tool, and we will understand actually both these tools, their differences, and you will then understand how to use the VS Code, which is free for a developer for lifetime. And we'll also compare these tools as well in our journey. So what about server access for OData? So guys, server access for OData, you would not need immediately. Yes, you will definitely need an SAP server to practice OData because you want to learn about exposing your sales order, your purchase order, your material data from ERP S4 HANA system. And for that, you need a server in the last 10 session. And in session number 29, I will guide you how do you get a server access? How do you can obtain an OData server if you don't have one in your company? How can you get that? And it's my promise that all of you will have a server access so that you can do proper hands-on. So this will be an on-demand server access. I will guide you through that in session 29. So to begin with, we don't have to worry about SAP server access immediately. Yeah, we can do it later on. Okay, will you cover the real-time scenario in this course? So yes, this course is designed to cover all the real-time scenarios, including the entire process of development of Fiori apps, and finally connecting it with real SAP data, deploying and delivering these Fiori applications to the production system. We will cover that as part of our journey. I'm new to UI5. Can I also learn UI5? Yes, guys, everyone can learn UI5. Yeah, this course is designed for a absolute beginner, for a fresher. Even you are a college fresher, you can start with UI5 because we will cover all the basics of web development also for you, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. There is no Java knowledge required for this training. Yes, Java is not at all required. I understand that most of you come from a web background and you don't want to learn Java. Certainly, Java is not required for this course at all. At all. If I miss a class, how to refer a session. So every session like today's one is getting recorded, and you will get the video recording at a later point of time after the session is recorded. So even you miss or do not miss a class, you will always have a video recording with you to review a training session afterwards. What's the process to enroll for this course? The process is very simple. You just have to send an email to us on contact@anubhavtrainings.com. Please remember there is a S over there. So you can send us an email on anubhavtrainings.com, and then accordingly we will help you to subscribe for this training. Having said that, this is a wrap on this demo session today. Once again, thank you so much for taking your time today to attending this live demo session with us, and I hope to see you in my next class tomorrow.